Hey, welcome back. Now that we've covered the Go product roadmap, let's explore another tool, another model that can help us think about prioritization and also road mapping a bit more systematically. You remember that I heavily emphasized on the importance of outcomes and goals that we want to address so that our customers like the product. But who is the customer? And by that, I don't mean the customer segment or customer group. I mean, what type of customer are we looking at? Geoffrey Moore did some groundbreaking work around this. In his book, Crossing the Chasm, he distinguished 5 different types of customers. Not in terms of target group or what their job to be done was, but in terms of their customer or technology adoption. So he identified that there are a group of people called innovators. These people really try every new product, and even if it has some downsides, they're still fine with it. The next group are the so-called early adopters. After seeing the innovators use a product, they are fast followers. So if you think about Apple products, the innovators are the people that sleep in front of the Apple Store to be the first ones to get their hands on the new product. The early adopters are the ones that go to the store a few weeks later or do the ordering online to be also among the first, but not the very first, to get their hands on the product. It's usually not a big challenge to address the innovators and early adopters. Many startups, but also many larger organizations building new products manage to do that. The difficult part is to cross the chasm, to move from innovators and early adopters to the early majority, which is a huge and much bigger group of customers that will ultimately use your product and pay you for it. But once you address the early majority, you also figure out a way to address the late majority. And with these 4, the innovators, the early adopters, the early majority, and finally the late majority, you address the vast majority of potential customers. The final one that are missing are the laggards. Those are the people that probably will never adopt your product, or it will take many years for them to adopt it. The mistake that I see a lot of product owners and teams do is to start focusing on the laggards instead of start focusing on the innovators. You never build a product with the intention of the laggards using it, because they will never do that. So always, when you think about prioritization, when you think about road mapping, start with the innovators in mind. Identify them. See what kind of outcomes they want to achieve. And what kind of outcomes are they willing to live without? Which means things that you can cut out of your product, which results in faster time to markets. After you can address them, you can think about the early adopters. Now, I mentioned earlier, I will talk a bit more in detail about crossing this chasm. Because the interesting thing is, sometimes crossing the chasm happens automatically. You just continue to build the stuff based on the feedback you've received from your innovators and your early adopters. But sometimes you also have to ignore some of that feedback. Sometimes you even have to change slightly the strategy of your product so that the product and the business model becomes something of interest to the early majority and later the late majority. The customer or technology adoption map helps you to think about your customer segments in a slightly different way. And that helps you again to prioritize the right ones for the start of the product initiative, but also the ones that you will then address over time. And this helps you and your team make better decisions, both in terms of prioritization and ultimately in terms of road mapping. In our next video, I will share a few more road mapping techniques with you, and then we will close this module. I'll see you then.